This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. Damn, song was right in the middle there. What's going on, everybody? It's good to see Crystal, aka Beaver Gaming, sub Crystal. Back in the mod lineup. She got a break there for a while. Had to take care of her mother. So here she is. And again, the longest name in YouTube history. Hey, it looks like Robin's still the super freak from earlier. I don't really have a goal or anything because this show right here might be a pretty short one. Then I'm gonna come back on late tonight to combat, not to directly combat with them, but to have an alternative to the wacko YouTubers who cover the Idaho 4 murder case in the later evening. I mean, it's just pure insanity. So I figured there needs to be some sort of somebody out there that's actually rational. I mean, these people, I mean, you wouldn't believe what they entertain. Well, we're just open-minded. No, you're a fool is what you are. Okay, thank you. Hey, thanks, Kami. The bar is open for business. Yeah. Let's see. Well, where are you, Crystal, aka Beaver Gaming sub Crystal? Let's see. All right. Anyways, oh yeah, let me. So there's Blue. So Blue, it kind of sucks for. I mean, Blue's healthy, other than he's got his heart is enlarged. So he's getting a little wheezing cough, so it's like pressing on his trachea or something. So I don't know, and I didn't realize, but he's 12 years old now. Jesus, that's so crazy. I mean, I was doing YouTube when he was. He was 2 when we got him, so that's 10 years ago. I think right during Jodi Arias is when he was around. But Blue's 12, so I don't know, But he does well. I mean, he runs around and still wrestles and plays, and he seems pretty good other than that part. But God, I mean, Blue's a great dog. He's the first dog that when he passes away, I'll feel really. I've had other dogs that I don't know what the deal is. It just didn't have the same. Blue always seemed like he was a person that got stuck in a dog's body or something. I don't know. Or I don't know if that's it. It's more just kind of. I don't know. Who the hell knows what the reason is like that? I mean, I've got sad when my other dogs died, but Blue's like feels even more like a family member than the other ones. Look at Chloe. God, what a mess. Jesus. What's going on over there? Yeah, I mean, Blue's been around for the entire YouTube journey. I mean, really, basically, right when. I mean, if he's 12, we got him when he was 2, so, man, that's a long, long time ago. And yeah, and then there's Chloe's about 3 now, so. Yeah, and that hair is crazy. It's just insane. Yeah, that's that story with the day we met's kind of that's Blue right there. That's why he's different. I mean, he barks at everybody, but boy, he ran right up to me. He almost knew what was going on. You know. You guys got to see. I got to get this on camera. But when it's really sunny in the backyard, I put him on his back really quickly so he doesn't try to wiggle out, and then almost immediately the sun tranquilizes him, and he's got these his bulging eyes that he's got, and I just start like rubbing his eyeballs with like the outside of his eyeballs, and then I get my hands behind his ears, and he looks just like a gremlin, the cute one though, like I don't know how to explain it. I gotta get this on film. It's unbelievable. He doesn't move. He just literally gets and they both do something similar. Yeah, Gizmo. I forgot what the bad one was. Yeah. Yep, so like usual, if you guys want to help support the channel during the shorter show here, I'm going to be back on later too. That would be awesome. The day crew kicked ass today. That was amazing. By the way, if you don't watch anything in the whole Amber Heard trial, you got to watch Johnny Depp's attorney cross-examine Amber Heard. I mean, that is the craziest. She just makes Juan Martinez look lame, to be honest with you. I mean, she just completely nails everything and just makes her look absolutely ridiculous and catches her in tons and tons of provable lies. So it's pretty entertaining. I see why people like that part. Definitely good. Yeah, Camille. Did she start dating Johnny Depp after that? I mean, I saw some pictures on the when the trial was happening. Nah, I didn't see that. It seemed like they were kind of like extra chummy right at the end, but maybe everybody's like that when you win. And look at how we only have 132 people watching. You know why? Because people are talking about Zav Girl over and over, and you just lose. There's just sucks the oxygen out of the room. It's like, man, what a the big travesty of Zav Girl is not only what she did, but it just ruins everybody else trying to actually cover true crime during Zav Girl streaming. I mean, look at that. 131. What is that? I have 109,000 subscribers, and I got 131 people watching because it's not going to be something big. Yeah, it sucks. So it's going to be up to you guys to help support the channel tonight. There isn't the big crowd. All right? So thank you. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, yeah, first thing I was going to show you was the update on the garage so far, if you guys want to see that. So here we go. Look at it now, everybody. They've gone in and put some drywall inside. Can you see that? Look at that. So there, that's to the right. They put the water heater on the ground. There's going to be a stand-up. The water heater is just this part's just the functional laundry room. Probably going to put a table over here or something. And this is really wide angle lens. This is and then right up here is like the attic part, right? But this is a wide angle lens, so it makes everything seem like they're a little bit bigger, right? I mean, or smaller in the distance. So you got that. And that's the bathroom. See, there's drywall in the entire bathroom. There's the shower and everything. There's going to be a toilet over here and a sink right there. This is where the medicine cabinet's going. I think they put different type of drywall in the bathroom. And then this is, so after this gets put in, then I think they do after the floor gets put on way later in the month on the 30th. And then the guy's going to come in and do all the finishing work to make everything look awesome. But look, I mean, isn't that weird? That totally empty garage a month and a half ago. And then right back here is that little cove where a refrigerator will go. This is going to be a door right here. Everything. And then there's this picture's in the other corner. Window over here. But it's weird how it looks now. Once the drywall's in, that's it. I mean, that's what it looks like. You know? So that's it. All right. So you guys have been updated as we've been going along. Thanks, Annabelle Stealth. All right. It's kind of quiet. Why is it so low? Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit bummed because I didn't have them put a cable outlet in the back on that window, the wall with the window on it currently. And I think that's where if I put a TV in there, it would be over there. Huh? All right. I almost not even feel like doing a show. 141 people. I mean, that's just wow, unreal. Okay, I'm gonna start off on one that we've done before, but I'm trying to get it to be our next genealogy program. Or not program, our next genealogy case, because we just added another one. They said we have enough funding to do a 12th, so we've got another one that we're looking for a case, but this is one that I told Misty Gillis about a while ago. So here, let's just go look back in time at this one. All right. At 6:15 Christmas morning, Leon Springfield slid his key quietly into the front door of his ex-wife's house in southwest Fort Worth, hoping not to wake anyone. In the usual fashion of a fatherly Santa helper, Springfield had brought with him a toy to place under the Christmas tree for his 3-year-old son, Scott. When he opened the door, Scott already was awake, sitting up in bed crying. On the floor of the living room, near the Christmas presents, Springfield found the nude and bloody body of his 21-year-old ex-wife. An electrical cord sheared from a clothes iron was wrapped around her neck. Cheryl L. Springfield of 3370 Whittier was slain between 12:30 and 6:15 a.m. Christmas Day, police said. Isn't that crazy? Thank you, Annabelle Stealth. There it is. That's the house, just this little tiny house right there. Although she had hold on, let me fix something. There we go. Although she had two recently acquired female roommates, they were both visiting relatives and were not at home at the time of the attack. Ms. Springfield had stayed at home to babysit her son and her sister-in-law's 18-month-old daughter. An initial examination of the body indicated Miss Springfield had been strangled, beaten, and possibly raped, investigators said. There was also a cut on the woman's leg that appeared to have been made by a knife, police said. There was no known motive for the killing and no firm suspects, although There were indications Thursday that homicide investigators may be pursuing several undisclosed leads. An autopsy was planned early Thursday, but the preliminary results were not available. Springfield, 23, had been divorced from his wife since August, but lived only a few blocks away at, let's see, do I have that one in there? I don't think so. $41. 4159. Carolyn. Is that right? Drive or Street, Fort Worth? Yeah, that's probably it. That's pretty close. A few blocks away there. He said he talked to her son on the telephone about 12:30 a.m. Thursday, shortly after she returned from a visit to her mother's home in Crowley. So let's see. Springfield, 23, had been divorced from his wife since August, but lived only a few blocks away at 4159 Carolyn. He said he talked to her on the telephone at about 12:30 a.m., so pretty late at night, Thursday, shortly after she returned from a visit to her mother's home in Crowley. Over the phone, the two had made arrangements to get up early and assemble several Christmas presents, put them under the tree before waking Scott. You know, do the Santa Claus bit, Springfield said. He said the shock of his ex-wife's death on Christmas morning will never wear off. Where's the rest of it? It's over here. No, page 2. This is page 2, right? It's 2A. No, that's not it. That's weird. Oh, there it is right there. That's hard to forget. If it was any other day, maybe I could forget about it, he said. But who can forget this day? It's celebrated every year. Miss Springfield and her mother had planned to go to the Breckenridge Thursday to visit relatives and exchange presents. It's terrible. It's come as a shock to everybody, he said Thursday from his home in Crowley. Holmes said his stepdaughter was to begin a new job Friday at a fast food restaurant. Funeral for Miss Springfield is pending at Baumgardner Funeral Home in Crowley. That was on the 26th, and there's another one on the 26th. I'm not sure. Let's see. An initial examination indicated that Cheryl Springfield, 21, of 3370 Whittier, who was found dead early Christmas morning, was strangled, beaten, and possibly raped. She was slain between 12:30 and 6:15. Although she had recently acquired 2 female roommates, they were both visiting. I think this might be sort of a similar, just kind of mixed up article there. This one's on the 27th. So this one says, a woman who was found strangled and possibly sexually abused Christmas Day in southwest Fort Worth may have known the killer. Homicide Lieutenant A.M. Patterson said Friday there was no forced entry or apparent robbery motive in the death of Cheryl Springfield, 21, found nude and strangled near a Christmas tree on the living room floor of her house at 3370 Whittier. We haven't had anything like this in quite a while. Patterson said investigators were awaiting word from the police laboratory on some undisclosed evidence submitted after the Christmas Day discovery. Leon S. Springfield, the victim's ex-husband, so this is back in 1980, so DNA wasn't really a thing. The victim's ex-husband found the body at 6:15 Thursday at 4159 Springfield, 23, lives at 4159 Carolyn, said he visited the house to leave some gifts for his 3-year-old son, Scott. An electrical cord sheared from a clothes iron was wrapped around Miss Springfield's neck when she was found. Tarrant County Medical Examiner Nizam Perwani said Friday after an autopsy conducted by Mr. Mark Krause that the woman died of strangulation. Perwani said the full results of the autopsy would not be released until Monday. She appeared to have been beaten, and police investigators said the woman may have been sexually assaulted. Patterson said it was impossible to tell if Miss Springfield struggled with her assailant because the entire house was cluttered and in disarray. So that's and this is her right here with her kid. A picture of her. And so this is one that I'm trying to, I guess there might be some DNA in it. This is a long one here, but it has pictures and different things like that. Now, thank you to Your Gypsy and looks like Lillian on PayPal. Thank you. Yeah, but come on, you guys. See, this is what I'm saying. We're not covering the Idaho 4 case right at this minute. And you can see how there's just no excitement or interest in this sort of thing. And if you're really into true crime, all of these stories should be interesting to you. All right? It's really frustrating. I got to be honest with you. I'm actually, you get disillusioned with the whole industry. You got thousands of people watching, somebody bashing, like people talking about a shitty YouTuber, but when there's somebody out there putting out the good stuff, it's just nothing, I think it sucks, okay, and I don't know how else to tell you. 37 years ago, when alone with her younger sister's body at a funeral home in Crowley, Jan Tunnell Webster made a vow. Before her 21-year-old Cheryl Tunnell Springfield lay in light blue closed covered casket, the color chosen by their mom because she thought it made her younger daughter look warm. A blue and white turtle sweater concealed the imprint left by the iron cord that had been wrapped and knotted around Springfield's neck when she was found Christmas morning by her ex-husband. Webster can still remember now tape used to cover the incision made during her sister's autopsy was, hey, what's going on? Yeah, well, I'm going to do a late show on it, but that was it. But see, look at that, Caligal 3, just another lucky night again, because other than that one, it was like a hamburger. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So I'll probably, later tonight I'm going to do some kind of discussion with people, but, I like to do all kinds of different cases, and it really, people say, Gray, you got to do what's best for your channel. Well, okay, well, what's best for the channel, if you go purely by numbers, is to constantly cover the really big, sensational, the hottest case every second of every day, all day long. Like, for example, if I made a Koberger video every single day and put it out there, my number, like I got 1,200 subscribers off of that last video that I just made on Koberger, which I think is totally, like, that feels like that's what I should be getting on a video like that. But, I slog along for months and maybe some months get 400, 200 some months, That's it, because there's nothing big. And then a big case comes along, and then there's a big surge. But that's just what it shows you, though, is during the non-surges, nobody gives a shit. Most people, not the guys like you guys watching, about anything. But look at, like, tonight right now. See, like, Caligal 3 just made this huge, just boom, absolutely helped the show out, right? But prior to that, we have, 30 minutes where it's just kind of like, yeah, this isn't really interesting. So, and it is. This is an interesting one. I mean, I can't force something to be interesting to you, but thank you, Eugenie and Alley Cake. And you guys know what we're doing here. We just now have our 12th DNA case that we're funding. So this channel has funded 12 unidentified victims or bodies, and that's what we're paying to do. So there's still some in the pipeline, but we've paid for those. All right, and not all of it goes to that. It helps me out too, right? So don't you think that's a pretty good number, everybody? Name one other YouTube channel that's even funded one of those. Just one. And the answer is 0. All right. In the true crime world, I don't know if there's some channel dedicated just to that. Yeah, you are here, but I'm just telling you the frustration. I mean, it's just weird to have 109,000 subscribers and 213 people watching because there's more interesting drama to watch somewhere. Thank you, Linda Howe, as in Linda Molden Howe of the Cattle Mutilations and Crop Circles. Hey, thanks, Brown Eye Girl. Now we have another case here that I've never seen before. After this one, I'm gonna read through this though because it's on the Justice for Cheryl Lynn Tunnell Springfield page. So it's probably got a lot of stuff in it that isn't going to be in the newspapers. All right, you guys ready? And it sucks to have to bring it up so often because it's just, I don't know what to do, man. I can either start screaming and getting like upset, like ah, or just tell you this is what I'm feeling like right now. Okay. Thank you to Brown Eyed Girl, Linda Howe, Alley Cake, Eugenie, Caligal 3, Annabelle Stealth, and there was one more way up there. I can't find that one, but anyways, thank you guys. Amber E. All right, here we go. So, I mean, this is just crazy case because the husband has nothing to do with this, So you think you're instinctually like, oh yeah, man, that ex-husband, but he has nothing to do with it. All right, Webster can still remember. Let me see. Webster is the sister of Cheryl. So before 24-year-old Cheryl Tunnell Springfield lay in light blue cloth-covered casket. Man, the color chosen by their mom because she thought it made her youngest daughter look warm. A blue and white turtle sweater concealed the imprint left by the iron cord. Let's see. A blue and white turtleneck concealed the imprint left by the iron cord that had still been wrapped and knotted around Springfield's neck when she was found Christmas morning. Wow. Webster can still remember how tape used to cover the incision made during her sister's autopsy. What was visible through her sister's sweater as she reached in and covered Springfield's hand with her own. I just remember promising her I will find who did this to you, Webster recalled. If it takes until my last dying breath, I will find out who did this. It's a promise that almost 4 decades later, Webster is still working to fulfill. A month does not go by when she does not touch bases with the Fort Worth Police Cold Case Unit. And with each new detective that comes through the unit, there is always one name she is sure to bring up: Barry Dean Kelly. The case is the subject of the Star Telegram's latest podcast series, Out of the Cold. The Christmas in 1980 had already been shaping up to be different. A few months earlier, Cheryl and Scott Springfield's divorce had been finalized. Cheryl Springfield had moved in with their ex-husband's younger sister, so she was still getting along with the family and everything like that. And let's see, Springfield had grown up in. It's So it's the same house. Thanks, Nicole.
It's got to be frustrating. Selfishly,
I think these are...
these old cases though, because not too many do so. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's not selfish of you. That's normal. That's how it should be, you know. So, Cheryl Springfield had moved in with her ex-husband's younger sister, Cindy Springfield, in the house on Whittier Street that her ex-husband and Cindy Springfield had grown up in. Scott and Cindy Springfield's parents still owned the... Yeah, so that's her sister. Okay. Still owned the house in South Fort Worth, but had vacated it after their own breakup. Because it would be their toddler son's first Christmas without his parents together, the couple had made plans for Scott to come over about 6 a.m. On Christmas morning. That way, he'd be there when 2-year-old Scott Allen awoke and could watch the boy open gifts. They had finalized their plans in a brief phone call shortly after midnight on Christmas morning. Hours later, lugging a big wheel he brought for his son, Scott walked the roughly 5 blocks to his ex-wife's. He had a key. It was his parents' house after all, and turned it in the lock. It's kind of a oddly written, so it's hard to really just kind of... Hey, thanks, Simple Life Days and Julia Morales. So it was his parents' house after all, and turned it in the lock. He can't be sure the door was even locked when he turned the key. Opening the door, Scott heard cries from his son carrying down the hallway from the room he shared with his mother. In the home's cluttered living room, he saw what appeared to be a naked sleeping woman, feet from the Christmas tree. The sleeping woman, feet from the Christmas tree. So just feet. See, that's hard to read it correctly the way that's written there, but. So it's just meaning like it's just a short distance from the Christmas tree, right? Who's the drunk girl laying on the floor? He says he wondered. He assumed it was one of the 2 teenage girls who had recently moved in with her sister and Cheryl. He walked on down the hallway where he found little Scott Allen sitting up, crying in bed with no sign of his ex-wife. His gut told him something was wrong. He returned to the living room and confirmed what he'd feared was true. It was Cheryl lying in the living room. That's kind of a weird story. You didn't go, like, check that first. I mean, I guess, like, if you think it's one of the roommates, you don't want to embarrass them or something. It was Cheryl lying in the living room, and there was a reason she hadn't responded to their young son's cries. I got close enough to her to realize there was something wrapped around her throat. I know I touched it, and then I thought, don't touch nothing, Scott Springfield said. He was kind of obnoxious. Detectives would investigate a number of potential suspects, taking a special interest in Kelly, a former boyfriend of Cindy Springfield, Scott's sister. Let's see. Kelly, a former boyfriend of Cindy Springfield. Yeah, right, Scott's sister. You said that above. Kelly had been released from prison 5 months earlier for a string of burglaries. Since his release, he started calling Cindy again, who was now living with Cheryl, her former sister-in-law. I can't remember them even meeting, Cindy said in a recent interview. They just didn't get along at all over the phone. He was kind of obnoxious. If I wasn't there, he'd keep calling. After Cheryl's murder, Scott was among those who began to wonder if Kelly could be involved. Have you ever met somebody you just know there's nothing good about them? Oh yeah. Scott asked. There's nothing honest about them. If you have anything to do with him, it's not going to turn out good. That's just what I got from him. Cindy didn't believe it. After all, Kelly would never hurt someone who meant so much to her. Let's see. Cindy didn't believe it. After all, Kelly would never hurt someone who meant so much to her. I don't get it. Let's see. There were things done attempting to either include or exclude Kelly being a suspect in the offense, said Jeremy Roden, a homicide detective. A month after Cheryl's death, however, Kelly would be jailed for a bizarre crime spree. Old Star Telegram clips tell the tale of how Kelly broke into North Richland Hills' home, stole 3 purses, and kidnapped at knife point a 21-year-old Indianapolis woman who had been visiting relatives at the home. In the backyard of a house down the street, Kelly pushed the woman down but ended up running off and being spooked by the woman's screams and a car motor in the distance. He was arrested 2 days later but escaped during questioning after grabbing an ashtray from a table and smashing it into the head of a detective. 2 days after that, he'd be arrested again, this time in Cedar Hill, where he was involved in a wreck on a motorcycle that he had allegedly stolen. Man, this guy doesn't sound very good, does he? Wow. And so, let me see, where are we right now? Where was that name? Yeah, Barry Dean Kelly, okay. Let's see, where was that? Yeah, I guess it's not down that far. Attempting to either include or exclude, yeah. In the background of a house down the street, Kelly pushed the woman, yeah. In February 1987, the two would marry. So it says, after being paroled in November 1986, Cindy was among the first people he would find. In February 1987, the two would marry, a marriage that dissolved after 10 months. Cindy says Kelly never hit her, but his behavior was always just a little scary. There was a time, she says, he tattooed his initials BK on her hand, a sort of branding she didn't want. There was nothing I could do about it, Cindy said. And I think Cindy is Cheryl's sister. It was at gunpoint. The gun was right there. The final straw, she says, is when he gave her hepatitis. When he gave her hepatitis. She left him, but says he kept trying to see her, eventually kidnapping her outside a store on Seminary Drive in October of 1987 and terrorizing her for hours. Police would arrest Kelly the next day and charge him with aggravated kidnapping. 63-year-old woman murdered. He'd still be in jail when Fort Worth police would accuse him in a different crime, the murder of a 63-year-old widow named Melva Teams. Teams was last seen on the evening of October 5th, 1987, at the Northwest Fort Worth home she shared with her daughter, Mary Copeland. Copeland was headed out that evening to a lounge. Teams, who was going on a church trip the next day, was preparing to take her routine evening walk. When Copeland returned to the home, sorry, there's so much noise in here. It's just, the kitchen's right over here. A lot of crankling and cracking, and that's what's going to be so great about having the office. We don't have to worry about that. It's going to be my own little. I'm going to call it Gray's. What was it? The Gray Zone. What do you think about that? That's actually a cool name for a channel, isn't it? The Gray Zone. Like that. Yeah. The only problem is I'm not I don't really operate too often in the gray zone. You know what I mean? Like this is what this means. There is a gray zone out there, but I try to eliminate the gray zone. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, so Copeland was headed out that evening to a lounge. Teams, who was going on a church trip the next day, was preparing to take a routine evening walk. When Copeland returned to the home in the 2000 block of Castleberry Cutoff Road shortly after midnight, her mother and her mother pickup were gone. Inside the normally tidy house, things were askew. Team's bed was messy, the mattress pushed off center, a drawer which usually held Team's .22 caliber handgun was open, and the gun gone. Team's purse, where she usually kept her wedding ring, was also missing. Team's pickup would later be found behind the old Panther Hall on the city's east side. A week and a half later, on October 17, 1987, Fort Worth officers found Team's body near a dry creek bed off a dirt road northwest of Interstate 35 West and North Loop 820. A strip of material, evidently ripped from her own t-shirt, was still knotted around her neck. So it's kind of similar, like use what you got to make a ligature, much like the iron cord. It was the same knot. Oh, there you go. It was the same knot, same kind of knot that had been tied in the iron cord used to strangle Springfield almost 7 years earlier. As with Cheryl's case, Kelly had a connection to Teams. Okay, well, I wonder what that is. Hey, look at that. Linda Howell, 43 months. Man, that's, what is that, like 20 years? No, Gray, it's really just about a little, like 3.5, okay? And I needed to correct you because it makes me feel good. Yeah, I was being sarcastic when I said 20 months, you know. And I'm really trying hard to get the th sound in months. Yeah. You know how people are, they're like that though, you know? They're just so quick to fix the smallest little thing, but they don't challenge. Like I could go like this. Man, I was walking down the street today, it was, let's see, about 23 pickles and 14 walnuts, I think. What does that make? 48 items altogether. No, it's 47, Gray, it's 47. It's 47, Gray. But then a guy on YouTube would go, hey, everybody, look at that. Look in the background there. See that picture in the back of the wall there? That it refers to Gilligan's cousin's best friend. Now, what we know about Gilligan's cousin's best friend is that he was a serial killer who also liked Ted Bundy. Now, if I think we combine those together, we're going to find... And they go, oh, wow, that's fascinating. You know, where's the challenge on those morons? You know, like the clown out there? Nobody ever says a word except me, basically. And I don't care if any of the people that watch his show and think it's good, watch my show, okay? You can't... Okay, being a clown immediately disqualifies you in the true crime world as being credible, okay? I mean, doesn't that just make sense, everybody? All right. Gray, you're just jealous. Yeah. Who's that one? Yeah. Good to see you and rest. Who? What? No, hey, good night, Jennifer. There, I finally found the comment. I think I'm not on the, oh yeah, live chat. That makes such a big difference. Look at that. All these things show up. Yeah. Who cares if he's a scary... He's a shitty... The stuff he puts out is garbage. Literally. Every bit of it. Okay? So if you're somebody that goes over, wow, that's interesting... Go to a mental facility immediately and get yourself checked out. There might be something wrong with your brain. All right, not anybody else's. Just look at it. Wow, that is interesting. Now how come? Oh, get out of here. Smoke and mirrors is what it is. All right, so we're back here. So Teams is the elderly lady that it looks like he may have killed. Yeah, so it says, the next day, Copeland was headed out that evening to a lounge. Teams, who was going to a church, yeah, we already did that part. A week and a half later, on October 17th, Fort Worth officer found Team's body near a dry creek bed. That's right, and then we had the same knot as the iron cord. So it says, as with Cheryl's case, Kelly had a connection to Team. So Kelly's the guy that they think may have killed Cheryl, too. He had met and began dating Copeland in December of 1986, and that's the lady that lives with Teams. Though their relationship ended next February when Kelly married Cindy. That's right. So Kelly married Cindy, and then so Copeland, obviously he didn't marry her too. Thank you, the Velvet Army.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll do Chewbacca if you want me to.
Copeland would later testify that Kelly had begun calling her again that summer. He had met and began dating Copeland in December 1986. Though their relationship ended that next February, when Kelly married Cindy, Copeland would later testify that Kelly had begun calling her again that summer. Interesting. So after he got married to Cindy, he started calling Copeland again, who he was dating at the same time that he married Cindy. She'd even introduced him to her mother, who lent Kelly money to buy gas and get his car radiator fixed. She even introduced him to her mother. Suspicion quickly started pointing to Kelly in Team's death. Multiple prostitutes familiar with Kelly told police they'd seen him driving a truck, later identified as Team's pickup, around the time of the woman's disappearance. One of the prostitutes said Kelly showed her some rings and claimed to have gotten from an old lady and remarked that the truck would soon be hot. A tire shop owner who also tells investigators that Kelly had told him a set of wedding rings, later identified as Team's, for $450. What did it say? That Kelly had sold him a set of wedding rings for $450. But the strongest link would come after police sought to have Kelly's DNA compared to that from a semen stain found on Team's bedspread. It would be the first time in Tarrant County that investigators had used DNA in a criminal investigation. He was definitely, so he sexually assaulted Teams too. He was definitely a suspect. We just didn't have enough to make a murder case on him until the DNA came through, which back then was kind of a miracle for us, said Sergeant Paul Kratz, then supervisor of the homicide unit. It was like, wow, first case with DNA. It was pretty awesome. In a 1988 trial, Kelly was found guilty of Team's murder and sentenced to life in prison. Now that makes him seem like a very likely suspect. But what's interesting is, wouldn't they have just already just made a one-to-one comparison with that DNA to Cheryl's body's DNA if they've got it? In a 1988 trial, Kelly was found guilty of Team's murder and sentenced to life in prison. In the years since the trial, Cindy says she came to grips with possibility that Kelly might have killed her former sister-in-law too. It is a realization, she says, that brings with it tremendous guilt. I brought him into our lives, she explained. I never knew or met Cheryl. Earlier this year, Kelly reached out to Fort Worth police from prison, claiming he had information that could solve Cheryl's murder. Rodent and Detective J.W. Galloway, I actually left him a message, went to see him but came back empty-handed. It quickly became obvious that he was trying to elicit things that he wanted from the prison system. He wanted to live in a certain place and do certain things, and he was trying to offer up information to get those things that he desired and wound up telling me nothing. The Star Telegram has reached out to Kelly, who is now being held in the Montford unit in Lubbock. He has written back twice, even sending a Christmas card. He vehemently denies killing teams. He writes he wouldn't share information with police about Cheryl Springfield's case because of what he calls their threatening behavior towards him. Would you trust and talk to anyone whose behavior reveals they mean you no good, he wrote. Truth be, I want the truth to come out in both Melva Teams and Cheryl's case, but Melva Teams is a more personal issue because I knew her, whereas I never knew or met Cheryl. And yet, he did not reveal what he claims to know. He calls family members suspicions that he killed Cheryl nonsense. If he would have killed anyone, he writes, it would have been Cindy, his ex-wife. Cindy is Cheryl's sister. I wonder if maybe it was dark or, I mean, who knows? Jesus. Wasn't it 3 days after the murder of Mrs. Teams that I kidnapped my wife, he writes. Therefore, if I was capable of murder, you can bet I would have murdered my ex-wife as well. So why didn't I? Well, maybe you killed her because she was one of the ones that was, vehemently against you being with him. Right? Kelly's denials do nothing to change Webster's mind. Of course, he's going to deny it. She says he's gotten away with it for 37 years. Huh? I'm not surprised by his response. Most murderers won't admit their crime, Webster said. I could say I did not have a cheeseburger last night, but I know I did. So she'll be calling cold case detectives, and she'll keep bringing up Kelly's name because I won't let it go. I can't, Webster says. I promised her. So these are some of the pictures of her. That's the guy that came over with the Christmas present. It's weird to look at that picture right there, and then this is where Cheryl lived. I bet you anything it looks exactly like that still. If you go right over to here, and let's see. Is there a little side door there? Or maybe that's just it. Go over here. Looks different than... I'm not even sure. Maybe it's on the back side or something. Because that's the address, 1370. Or just a total remodel. Hard to really make it out. Actually, let me look. I wonder if it's like right there, maybe. I think this is the Kelly. That's him now. So, anyways, that's pretty much the story. But by vast, it sounds like they might have DNA in that case. But here's the thing: if they've already got DNA from Kelly, wouldn't they have just been able to compare it to his already? Isn't that cool? Isn't that awesome? It's Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming sub Crystal. What do you guys think? Do you guys think... let me do a poll here. I mean, the one thing I'm saying is, why haven't they compared it? It just seems like it's so likely. There we go. For those who are paying attention. Not one person's voted yet. Oh, there's one. Thank you. we've covered this one before, Zozo. It's the lady that was, her husband came over, her ex-husband came over to set up the Christmas toys for their son. And when he got there, he sees a naked person near the Christmas tree. Turns out it's his wife, ex-wife, and she was strangled with the cord from an iron that was cut off of an iron. That's from 1980. All right. Okay. So there you go. A case that, nobody else ever talks about, but pretty interesting one nevertheless. Because the husband didn't do it, so who killed her? That Kelly guy seems like a really good shot. All right. Now we're moving on to a different one. By the way, that Ellen Greenberg one, one of these nights soon we'll go over. I've got the whole investigative report. It's like a full-on document here. I think there was a different one than that. That's the autopsy report. Yeah. It's called the Ellen Greenberg case file. So we could probably go over the whole thing from the beginning. I don't want to do any of the stories that other people tell or anything like that. I just want to go over the case files and the autopsy. So don't send me links like, oh great, did you see what this person said? I don't care. All right, I want to see the official documents and try to make out what it says in there. All right, does that sound good? Yeah, so when we do it, don't say, hey Gray, I sent you something. I'm just going to go over the Ellen Greenberg case file. It's got everything in it. 28 pages and an autopsy report separate. All right. Awesome. And maybe I'll find something. I know I already have a few articles that have, like where it shows where the wounds went in and stuff like that. All right. Well, I'm going to start it, though, by going back and reading what was in the newspaper around that time. I think it wasn't even in the paper at the beginning because they ruled it a suicide, but it looks like something that's it's a far-fetched suicide. Even anything's possible, but I don't know, man. Stabbing yourself in the neck a whole bunch of times, in the head, and then the chest, and then you finally die and they call it a suicide with a big gaping wound on your head. And I don't know. Sounds like somebody was just attacking her over and over again. I don't know how you could make something like that happen. So what do? Put a knife on the wall and then push back with your head to get, oh wow, that didn't work, let me try it again. Oh, let me try it again, let me try it again, let me try it again. Oh, that didn't work, let me try it again, let me try it. All right, let me try it over here. Yeah, just kind of dumb. But it's one that I've wanted to sort of look at, but I don't want to have, outside interference of like, this is what these people have said about it. I would just rather read the report and, the documents that are out there, right? Yeah, well, see, that's what I'm saying. I want to read the report, Tina, okay? One problem is it's been covered so many times that it makes me kind of go, what's the use, Because it's everybody's already saying what the reality is. You know what I mean? Everybody keeps saying, "Oh yeah, there's this." That means they've all heard of it and watched videos and all that. Fine, Gray. Yeah. All right. All right. So the other one, this is new to me, so this will be interesting. This case is MaryLoper. All right. Unless you spell it Loper, it's Loper. I kind of think that says Loper, but. Well, yeah, because it's not. This isn't a case you'll ever remember. It's never been discussed before, is what I said. This isn't one that you'll typically see on a YouTube channel or anything like that because nobody gives a shit, right? It doesn't sell enough tickets. All right. Anyways, here's the this 2002. She went missing on May 29th. This is the first article that I could find. There was no articles at all that I could find until November. It says no new leads in George County missing woman case. So there must have been something prior to this, but I couldn't find it. Yeah. Glenda Allen still has hope her younger sister will be found alive, even though the George County mother of 3 has been missing for nearly 6 months. I'm hoping she just left and maybe she'll come back, Allen said of the 27-year-old MaryLoper. So, Glenn Allen still has hope Glenda. So it's Glenda Allen still has hope her younger sister will be found alive, even though the George County mother of 3 has been missing for 6 months. I'm hoping she just left and maybe she'll come back, Allen said of the 27-year-old MaryLoper. Maybe she needed a break for a while. You know, she had 3 small kids. Yeah, I don't think most mothers could just leave 3 kids. Allen spent a chilly Saturday walking through woods near her sister's home in George County, hoping to find a clue that might lead to Loper, who was last seen in May. Allen had expected more people from the community to join the search party that also included Allen's husband. So Allen, that's right, this is the sister. Allen still has hope for her. Okay, so he's the older. Glenda is the older sister of Loper. And then it says, Allen, the older sister, had expected more people from the community to join the search party that also included Allen's husband, mother, and stepfather. She said she was heartbroken when only 2 other women showed up and stayed an hour and then left. I'm very depressed, Allen said. I think it might have been because of the weather. It was real cold. Loper was last heard from on May 29th. Allen had talked to her sister on the telephone. So see, this is May 29th. Allen had talked to her sister on the telephone the same day. Loper's husband, Jonathan Carl Loper, 29, was arrested on a charge of manufacturing marijuana. So I was reading about this in the like on Ben Verified. I saw his arrest record, so I went and looked that stuff up. So that just feels like that's related somehow. Jonathan Carl Loper, 29, was arrested on charge of manufacturing marijuana. At the time of Loper's arrest, he was out on bond for felony aggravated assault charges in Vicksburg. He also was out on bond for felony drug charge in George County. Following his May 29th arrest, Loper's bond was revoked. He remains in George County Jail. The couple's 3 sons, ages 6, 4, and 10, are living with MaryLoper's mother-in-law. So, does that mean Jonathan Loper's parents? Mother, I mean? 2 leads in the case surfaced this month, but neither panned out, said J.D. Mitchell, an investigator with the George County Sheriff's Department. This is in Mississippi. And the last case was in Fort Worth, Texas. The couple's 3 sons, ages 6, 4, and 10, are living with MaryLoper's mother-in-law. 2 leads in the case surfaced this month, but neither panned out, said J.D. Mitchell, an investigator with the George County Sheriff Department. It's an open case, Mitchell said Monday. We work on it as we can. When we get leads, we trace it down. We do not have anything to indicate it's a homicide. Yeah. There we go. Mitchell said the area the family covered this weekend had already been searched more than once by law enforcement officers, but he's not discouraging Loper's relatives. Yeah, so you look, this is the house. It's weird because there's Jonathan Loper has property there, and then she had property listed there and right there. So she literally had one at 218 Clarence, 216 Clarence, and he had one at 222. So maybe it was like 3 lots that they bought all of, and they just lived there. And was he growing marijuana here? Is that the... I mean, hell, you could probably go back to 2004. That's what it looked like in 2004, which is only 2 years later. And then that's 1997. Looks like a bunch of trees grew in there. And believe it or not, in the middle of nowhere here, there's street view right on the ground, but it's old. This is from 2008. So back in here, those homes. And then the next one was 2010. Where was those screenshots that I had? Oh yeah, so here's what I found on Ben Verified. On June 1st, 2001, that's just 2 days after she went missing. Fugitive from justice. So he was out on the run. I mean, that sort of feels pretty compelling. You know, like, did he do this to her? You know, maybe somehow she's the reason he got arrested. Don't know. Today marks the 8th anniversary of one of George County's longest unsolved incidents, a mystery that left 2 families and a community with questions. At approximately 4 a.m., May 30th, 2002, Jonathan Carl Lopez, 27, was awakened by one of his sons. The 6-year-old told him that the baby, then 4 months old, was crying and asked for his mother, who was not in the house. That started a search for MaryLoper, 27, that has involved law enforcement agencies in at least 2 states. More than 800 people in George County were involved in a candlelight vigil, and according to Mimi's older sister, Glenda Allen. Carol worked construction and Mary didn't want for anything. Carl worked for construction and Mary didn't want for anything. They were very devoted to one another, Allen said. Mary stayed home and kept the house. And what do you mean? Who's Carl? Is that what his middle name is? Oh, there it is, yeah. So there's the same day Loper was reported missing, her husband, Jonathan Carl Loper, 29, was arrested on charges of manufacturing marijuana. So then 2 days later, he was on the run? I wonder how he escaped. So it is Carl right there. So they are referring to Carl worked construction and Mary didn't want for anything. They were very devoted to one another, Allen said. Mary stayed home. So maybe it's something to do with the pot growers, though. Huh? Let's see. Allen said Mary stayed home and kept the house and began her family. What does that mean? Carl worked construction and Mary didn't want for anything. They were very devoted to one another, Allen said. Well, Mary stayed home. Why did I see kept? Man, I think this COVID brain thing is just, it's still lingering. It's weird. I see words that aren't there, and then they pop into then I look at it again and go, what? Like my mind is assuming what the word's going to be. Mary stayed home and kept the house and began, maybe it did say kept the house. So meaning like you kept it clean. That's what I was talking about. Thank you, Annabelle Stealth. Mary stayed home, kept the house, and began her family. They attended church regularly. When their first child, Levi, was born, they were very happy. She was a loving mother. Life for the Lopers began to unravel after the second child, Justin, was born in 1998, she said. Mary always had a weight problem, Alan said. She was very self-conscious about it, and it became worse after her second... Let's go to the next page. Second pregnancy. She later started taking methamphetamines to control the weight. Wow, that's crazy. That was the beginning of a downfall spiral for the couple who lived in a house only a short distance from his parents, Phyllis and Charles Loper, near the Barton community. Mary was like a daughter to me, Phyllis Loper said. She was a loving mother before she got involved in meth, and afterward she didn't come up here. The situation turned violent. In fall of 2001, Carl was charged with felony aggravated assault in Vicksburg after a man was shot in the face, Allen said. Then, during the early morning hours of May 29th, the situation worsened. Mother got a call from Mary, Allen said. She was at the hospital. She and Carl had gotten into a fight, and she had a cut on her head that had to be stitched up. He had dropped her off at the hospital emergency room and then left. She needed a ride. MaryLoper also called her sister. She told me that she loved me, Alan said. I asked her what was wrong, and she told me that she just wanted me to know that she loved me, and if she went back home, that Carl was going to hurt her. She said, I mean, how many stories have we heard just like this, you guys? I mean, this is like just classic everything. Was going to hurt her. She said that she had to go back to get her children. Alan said that she and her mother offered to go with MaryLoper to get the children, and that a youth pastor at the church also offered to go with her. She refused them, of course. MaryLoper's mother, Dorothy Reynolds, picked her up at the hospital and drove her home. She disappeared the very next day. Man, that's just almost too obvious at this point. She told me that she had to get away, Phyllis Loper said, about a conversation she had with MaryLoper shortly before she disappearance. Well, that's interesting, too. She told me that she had to get away, Phyllis Loper, but none of her kids. So maybe, you know what might have happened? She came home and was trying to pack and take the kids, and that's when she was killed. And, then she was disposed of somehow. She told me that she had to get away, Phyllis Loper said, about a conversation she had with MaryLoper shortly before her disappearance. She said that she needed some separation time. I thought that she meant get away from the children and everything. Carl Loper did not report his wife missing to authorities. I mean, really? How classic is this story, you guys? Man. And these people get to keep walking around, and it's just so obvious. Carl Loper did not report his wife missing to the authorities. When MaryLoper's mother and sister called to check on her on May 30th, they were told she was gone. They reported her missing. The George County Sheriff's Department began an investigation. During that investigation, they discovered blood in the home, but it was reportedly from MaryLoper's forehead cut. Oh boy. Deputies also discovered marijuana plants, and Carl Loper was charged with manufacturing marijuana. At the end of his arrest, he was out on bond for an assault charge and a felony drug charge. His bonds were revoked, and eventually he was sentenced to prison. Today, Carl Loper is out of prison and lives in the Barton community. MaryLoper's father, Jerry Reynolds, was living in California at the time, Allen said. He came to George County to help with the search. He sat on my porch and told us there was not any reason for Mary to hide Phyllis Loper said. He said that he had enough money that he could hide Mary for the rest of her life. What is this? Let's see what this said. MaryLoper's father, Jerry Reynolds, was living in California at the time, Alan said. Alan is her older sister. He came to George County to help with the search. He sat on my porch and told us there was not any reason for Mary to hide, Phyllis Loper said. He said that he had enough money that he could hide Mary for the rest of her life. So he's just saying she's not hiding because I could have set her up somewhere. Hold on. Jesus. Hold on a second. Yeah, somebody's saying, I'm watching your stream right now and I need to get some Yeah, you know it's going to be a troll. You know what I mean? Alright, so anyways, where were we here? Yeah, he said that he had enough money that he could hide Mary for the rest of her life. Phyllis Loper said that something strange happened then. He was staying with relatives, a cousin or something, Loper said. The relative told me that he got a phone call in the middle of the night and that he packed up and left without so much of a howdy do. Neither Alan nor Phyllis Loper have been able to contact Reynolds. The year after that, we heard that she was seen in Jackson with a truck driver, Phyllis Loper said. Phyllis Allen and her husband took custody of the 3 children. So what happened to MaryLoper? I want closure, Allen said tearfully. I have pushed my own family to the background, trying to find out what happened to her. Someone out there knows something. This one seems really obvious, but I think, isn't that crazy, these stupid trolls, you know? I'm watching your show right now. I mean, what a loser. Alright, let's see. So Mary Elizabeth Loper disappeared May 29th, 2002. Mary was last seen around 10 p.m. on the 29th of May at her house on Clarence Bonnett Road and has never been heard from again. Her 6-year-old son woke her husband up the next morning around 4 a.m. because their month-old infant was crying and Mary wasn't anywhere to be found. Mary and her husband were married in the early 1990s and had a happy relationship until Mary began using meth to lose weight. On the day of that she disappeared. What? Mary had to go to the emergency room to get stitches. According to her mother, Mary told her that her husband injured her during an argument and dropped her off at the hospital. She needed a ride home. Mary told her that her husband injured her in an argument and dropped her off at the hospital. She needed a ride home. She also spoke to her sister and said that she was afraid that her husband would hurt her. Yes, I think that's just a recapping of the article that we just read. In 2018, this is all they put in here. May 30th, 2018, that's a picture of her, that's a picture of her. On May 30th, 2018, marked 16 years since a George County woman disappeared. MaryLoper was last seen on May 29, 2002 at her home on Clarence Bonnett Road sometime that night. Her sister, Glenda, said 27-year-old Loper was reported missing on June 1st, 2 days after her disappearance, but also wasn't reported missing by her husband, but by family members. It's a cold case, yet investigators are still working every possible lead to figure out what happened to Loper. She has 3 boys. They were 6, 4, and 4 months old at the time of their mother's disappearance. If you have any information about this case, contact Crime Stoppers at 1-877-787-5898. And the Charlie Project has her in there too. Carl didn't report his wife missing. Mary's mother and sister did on May 30th after they called the house to check on her and were told she had disappeared. When police went to the home to investigate, they found some blood, but it may have been... See, that's the problem. If she hadn't had any cuts, it would have meant something. But because she already had a cut from a previous incident, you can just claim that's what it's from. That's ridiculous. They also found marijuana plants and arrested Carl for drug possession. He was already out on bond for another drug charge and an assault charge from 2001. The search of the area failed to produce any evidence as to Mary's whereabouts. She is the mother of 3 sons who are now in the custody of their grandparents. Mary's case remains unsolved. Authorities stated, well, how come the father didn't have custody? You know? They must think there's something going on there. Right, but we're not talking about that, Lori, right now, are we? We're talking about a different case. Authorities stated there was no evidence of foul play, but they are uncertain as to what happened to her. Alright. And there she is again. It's all, it's all going to have the same pieces of information in it. But there you go. That's one of the classic cases that are unsolved. Wouldn't you agree, you guys? How many of these types have we had? Put a number in there, like what your feeling is of some of the unsolved cases that we've had. What do you think the number of cases exactly like this one, the same sort of, there just isn't enough evidence? How many of these do you think we've had? I would say we've had, way over 50, 60, 70, 80 of them even. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, directly like this. The wife goes missing, and the husband was abusive, and somehow he's evaded arrest all these years. Even though, this is exactly like Melissa Pesky, all of them. Man, if something happens to me, by God. Right? Cheryl Coker. Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's almost ludicrous, to be honest with you. Here's what I'd say. In these cases, give it a shot. If you're going to, don't let it languish around for 20-something years. Just go in there with your circumstantial evidence. If they beat the charges, they beat the charges. Who cares if you wait another, till the guy's 90 and you finally got a conviction? What a joke. Why not give it a shot when the person actually gets punished for what they did? I'm not saying he's 100% guilty or anything like that, but come on, this just, I think the one that bothers me the most in terms of there should be an arrest is Cheryl Coker. I don't understand that one at all, man. These guys are, what are they missing here? It's like they haven't nailed. He even says he was there when she disappeared, was taken away. And then you have this guy wearing all black who dumps Cheryl Coker's car at the mall, then walks home all the way back, covering his face from neighbors, and then goes into the same backyard of his house. What other kind of circumstantial evidence do you need in a case like that? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like Zozo just said the same thing. That is so ridiculous. The circumstantial evidence in the Cheryl Coker case is enough that any sane person on a jury would vote guilty. Probably wouldn't go for the death penalty or anything like that because, there's a 1 in a billion chance they didn't do it. Hey, BMK Detailing. Thanks for the call, buddy. That was really cool and neato. You're so clever and sleuthy. Oh, good Jesus. Yeah. Well, you guys, that's it. That's all I had for this shorter show tonight. But I'm going to come back on later to have an alternative Koberger discussion night away from the crazy people, okay? Now, if you want to have these panels sitting around going, you know, I was always wondering about Kohberger being 6'3" or 6'4". Now, look I did some really sleuthing work here. I took a picture of Kohberger and put him next to a picture of John Stockton. Now, Stockton was 6'1", and it looks like Kohberger might be something like 6'4", but I'm not really sure. You know, even though when you see him sitting in the cop car, he looks like a normal average height person. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what a bunch of... I mean, they spend hours talking about absolute nothing. All right. So anyways, we're going to do that later. I don't know what time. You know, maybe 9, 10, something like that. 9:30. And I also want to... I have some things to... just sort of like condense this one part down. I think he's about 5'11" to 6 feet. Yeah, it's going to be later tonight, yeah. So I thought I'd get these 2 cases in without it being marred by the Kohberger case. And then we'll do that later, yeah. It was kind of fun doing that late night show the other night, so I figured we'd try that again. It's good to see you, Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal. Also, thank you to, let's see. Oh, that was really kind of you, Kelly Snyder. That was amazing. Thank you so much for PayPal and Lillian and your Gypsy earlier. Let's see. In a second. Let's see how much my flooring is. Oh, that's not too bad at all. That's it? That's ridiculous. It's got like the price for my flooring. Thank you, John Dunn. I'm busy and lurking, but listening to Grave, making me laugh. Well, there you go. I try to make people laugh too. Thank you, John Dunn. And don't say what your real name is, Kelly. I mean, your YouTube name is. I just didn't remember.
Smiley face.
12 to 1 a.m. New Jersey time. Yeah. Awesome. You'll be awake. You're always awake, Lillian. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. We'll see you this evening. And, yeah. I think I thanked every... No, I didn't. Hold on. I got to go to this part first. I thought I thanked these guys, but I didn't. Hold on. Kami, and then Okie Crime with Teresa, then Annabelle Stealth, and then Caligal 3 with a double cat eye, Eugenie, Alley Cake, Linda Howe, as in Linda Molden Howe of the Cattle Mutilations and Crop Circles, Brown Eyed Girl 714, Amber E, Nicole, Simple Life Days, Julia Morales, Linda Howe, 43 months, The Velvet Army, Danielle, Annabelle Stealth, and John Dunn right at the end there. All right, you guys. Thank you for being here. We'll see you later. And until next time, be safe out there. Boom. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have
Hey,
not
Gray, look
seen
at the
one
bunny!
person-
Gray, look at the bunny! Gray, do you see the bunny?
Yeah, we see the bunny, Mary Lou.
Dissector.
We've seen the bunny every single night. You're just noticing it?
Human lie detector.
Well, yeah, Gray, I don't watch this part. Gee, you're mean.
If you try and play me like an old projector, crime sector is my nectar.
How did you not notice the rabbit before, Mary Lou?
I know, Gray, I just don't watch this part. Jesus, leave me alone.
Protector, fool deflector, interceptor.
And I'll meet that us back up.
With a vector on his pector, with all respect, y'all.
Hey, Billy
Just remember
Juliana, the
political
mayor.
injector.
The legendary
I have
mayor.
no agenda. I'm no pretender.
I'll serve it to you straight without the blender.
And in the end, I'm gonna send you
Hey, good night, the Velvet Army.
to reveal the true offender.
Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Wait. So, Mary Lou, you're telling me you've never seen the bunny on that last shot?
No, Gray. I'm preparing to make my comments and so forth.
No, but you're singing the rap along with it.
Yeah, I just use headphones. I just use headphones. I'm not watching the video. I can't see it, as a matter of fact.
Well, why can't you see it? Oh, wait, never. Oh, sorry. You're inside the computer.
What do you mean, Gray?
Never mind, Mary Lou. It's okay. It's fine. Whew. Wow, that was a close. All right, guys. See you guys later. Be safe out there.